Hey everyone, welcome to another session in Converge 2024 Day 1. This has been a great day. We started off with Dan Perez and Lee Winchell talking about where Robohead is going in 2025 with our product roadmap session, what we're adding to the tool, what we're doing to better serve you and all of our clients. And we've also had the opportunity to talk to some of our customers like WWE around automation that they're doing and configuring within the Robohead system to better serve their teams, as well as integrations with other tools in their tech stack. Again, just to better empower the team to produce work faster and in higher quality. We're going to continue that here with the final session in Day 1, where we're looking at tiered reviews. As I mentioned, my name is Will Goad. You probably know that already if you've been watching the earlier sessions. So as we look at tiered reviews, I think it's really important to kind of understand reviews just in general. And so that's an area where Robohead really excels because we focus on creative, marketing, adjacent teams, because we focus on you folks that are producing assets, print, digital, web. Because of that focus, the review process is super important. It's important to the vast majority of our clients, and because of that, it's super important to Robohead. And we have really spent a lot of time trying to make the best review or proofing tool possible for our clients. And what we've seen is that, you know what, in Robohead, while certainly there are kind of these one-to-one reviews where I throw something over the fence to my boss, let's say, and she or he says, yeah, that's great. Oftentimes, though, there's lots of stakeholders that are involved in the reviews. And frankly, that's because there's a lot to review. We are looking at copy. As you load things, you're looking at design, you're looking at compliance or regulatory language that has to be approved and signed off on. There's maybe highly technical product information that's being involved, or there's specifications around the asset. Print specs would be a good example of that. But there's a whole lot to review, and that's not always being done just by one individual person. You don't have one person that's looking at copy, design, compliance, language, technical product stuff, and all of the other things. Oftentimes, you're going to bring in different folks. You might bring in a proofreader. You might bring in someone who only does legal reviews. You might bring in the product team to review product information. You might bring in the brand team or pre-press folks to kind of look at the assets that you're creating. And so with that, managing reviews in Robohead is super critical to many of you, most of you, because it allows you to consolidate that feedback in one system. You have one system where there's all of that feedback in one project. So all of the comments, all of the edits, all of the approvals and rejections, all of that is being managed in one system. It's not through email or through Slack or through Teams. It's all in Robohead, tied very tightly to the project and ultimately tied very tightly to the schedule. This not only makes it easy for your team, it can make it easy for stakeholders as well, because stakeholders get an email, there's an orange button in the email, they click it, they go review and provide feedback and hit approve or revise. So it makes it really easy on stakeholders as well. And another way that it makes it easy is if you're producing different types of assets. So you might have Word docs and PDFs and videos and GIF files and maybe even audio files or live web pages. Instead of sending them to different places and reviewing those in different places or capturing feedback different ways, you're capturing it all within the Robohead system. So that's super helpful. And then as part of that, you want to be able to track versions because they approved with changes version 1, and then noticed something and rejected version 2, and then ultimately approved version 3. You want to be able to see, hey, what happened on all these versions, who provided comments, who provided approval, and Robohead lets you do all of that in one place. That said, there's different ways that you can handle those reviews in Robohead. So while our tool is very strong and focused on the review process, we let clients kind of approach the reviews in different ways. And we're going to look at a couple of those ways today, kind of common ways that clients are handling reviews. And then we're going to look at a third approach that has been gaining traction with clients and that we're really excited about, called multi-stage reviews or tiered reviews. So with that, let's go ahead and get started looking at the system itself. Again, as we have questions around this, please, as we're looking at these review types, go ahead and throw them into the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. So I'd like to start with kind of jumping into Robohead and looking at kind of a single stage review where we're going to bring in everyone. That's something that some of our clients do. So within the schedule, they have this approval and revisions activity. Really what it is it's a review. And within that review, they're going to load one or multiple assets. Again, could be PDFs, could be web pages, could be videos, whatever. But they're going to load those assets and then they're going to have everyone come in at the same time. So in this case, I've got a lot of stakeholders and I've added them all at once. And again, the value here, the really nice thing about Robohead that is unique to us or very strong, a strong feature of ours is that we're able to see quickly like everyone who's a part of this review, and I can see what decisions they've made or maybe what decisions they haven't yet made. And I can see all of that in one spot. So that's super valuable. The challenge could be, though, is that in here I might have my proofreaders, I might have my folks that are looking at the design elements, I might have my compliance or legal reviewers, and I might have my brand or product partners all in here at the same time. And that can get kind of noisy because sometimes people start to see and consequently weigh in on things that really aren't in their purview or don't matter to them. Or even if they're not weighing into them, they still might be seeing them and seeing that conversation happening. And that can be distracting and kind of distract them from their normal way. Now, some clients will choose to handle that by manually adding folks in. So let's say Karen approves, I could modify this review and manually add in Marcus and Sanaya. And that's great. Again, there's a lot of control there. But again, we have this manual engagement with the system, and the review owner, like the designer or the project manager, is tasked with really trafficking this and getting this to the right people. So instead of focusing on building the creative or editing the creative, they're also playing traffic cop. And so again, while this is I would say this is a great way to go about reviews, there are some downsides that clients may say, hey, well, what about a different way? And so kind of a second way that folks choose to handle reviews is they want a lot of control. They want to bring in the marketing folks when it's time to bring in the marketing folks. They want to bring in the compliance folks when it's time to bring in the compliance folks. And they don't want those folks to ever get distracted by the other stuff that is happening in the review process. And so what they'll do is they'll actually create multiple reviews in the schedule. And this, again, like the previous one, this is a great approach as well. It has some really strong positives. It gives a lot of control, allows things to be very segmented and specific. So here I have marketing review, and then I will have my separate product team approval, and then a partner approval, and then legal and compliance approval, and then final approval. So here now I'm kind of setting up, I'm going to bring in different folks at different times. And while that, again, adds a lot of value and there's a lot of visibility, what we actually have here is we have multiple review steps. And so each one of those review steps has to be managed separately of the others. So if version 3 is approved at marketing, and now I'm going to send it on to the partner, I've got to go to that partner review and add that version 3 as version 1 of partner review, and so on and so forth down the line. And so again, the value of this approach is that it allows me to really segment and partition off the review process. And so it gives me a lot of control over who sees what when. I have a lot of control over limiting the amount of visibility folks have to prior versions or prior comments. And that can be super valuable. The downside or the potential drawback that you might want to solve for would be that, hey, that's a lot of files that are being added to this project. There's a lot of manual intervention that has to happen. So again, it's a great approach, but for some clients, they want something that's a little bit more clean, something that they can automate a little better. And that's where this kind of multi-staged or third, this third way, if you will, is there. And I want to show you that in Robohead. So what I've done is I've created this approval step. So similar to the single review, I only have one thing on my schedule for approvals. But now, similar to the multiple reviews, I've actually gone in and I've added those stages into the same review. And so let me show you what that looks like. We said, hey, we're going to send these items, these assets, whether it's one or many, and we're going to send them to folks, but we're going to send it to them in stages. And so here are my stages. I've broken that out and I said, here's the marketing review, here's the product team approval, here's the partner approval, here's legal and compliance, and here's final approval. And I can have my individual reviewers on each of those stages. I can have individual due dates for each of those stages, and I can easily monitor and see what's completed, what's in progress, what's yet to begin. And then I also have the ability, to see all of my folks all at once if I want. So I can open all of these up and I can see who's approved, who's received notifications, who isn't yet ready to review. And so the value here of this multiple stage proof is that I can get that visibility of everyone, but I can bring them in only when it's appropriate. So we know it's cleared marketing review before the product team ever gets a look at the assets that are being produced. They're not being drawn into the batting back and forth of the first couple of versions because we're trying to get the copy just right. So this again can be super valuable and actually help speed up the review process because we're not adding in either that manual effort to send folks files, or we're not adding in that noise of folks kind of being in at the beginning of the review when really they only need to jump in at the tail end. The other value here with this multi-stage review is we have the ability to modify the review and automate elements of it. So I can automate the routing so the designer doesn't have to push it from marketing to product team. We can let the system carry that water and do it for us. So I'll show you real quick how we'll do that. If I go into modify the review, there's this additional options section. And if you've set up a multi-stage review, you'll see it. You'll see the stages here. If not, you'll see a button that says multi-stage review. You click on it and then you can set it up. And so what I've done is I've got my marketing review and all of my other stages, and I'm able to set due dates for each of those stages. And then I also have the ability to set visibility. So for example, I can say, hey, I don't want the reviewers at, let me jump to legal and compliance. I don't want the folks at legal and compliance to see all of the other versions or to see all of the annotations or markups on those versions. I only want them to see a clean PDF or whatever the document is. So I'm able to kind of set visibility controls and decide who gets to see what and how I want them to engage with the review. The other thing that I'm able to do is to set the automation. So we've got a bunch of different options. We can start the stage when all reviewers have approved the previous stage, when all reviewers have approved or approved with changes, or there's a bunch of other rules here. There's a bunch of other options that you can use. And so what I've done is I've said, hey, you know what? At marketing review, if everyone's approved it, I want to start product team approval because that's when it's time. And then on partner approval, let's say for my product team, I only need one of the three to approve it. I could actually say, well, start partner approval when any of the reviewers on the previous stage have approved. And so again, I'm automating this. This can be done at the template level. It can be done at the project level. It can be done if you create a review manually even, but we're able to automate the routing. So instead of relying on someone to go load a file or go send something on or add someone in, we're able to really automate the delivery. So I've said, hey, at marketing, if it's approved, go ahead and send it to product team. At partner approval, if one of the product team approves it, go ahead and send it on, and then so on and so forth. And then finally, I can add some of that manual check into the process if I want to. So here I've said, once it comes out of all of these various departmental approvals that we have, we're going to send it off to a couple folks for final approval. And for that, I want the review owner to manually start the stage because they might look at, they might upload the print ready version of the PDF as opposed to a low res, for example. But we want to give the review owner some control to start that final round of approval. And so again, the value here is what I've done is I've set up these stages all within one review, and I'm able to have a clean audit trail, maintain a single version history, a single comment history for all of the reviewers, single decision tree where I can see who's approved and who's rejected, and when stages started, when they finished, and do all of that in one spot and automate it so that the system, again, can kind of carry the water and move things on to the right people at the right time. So again, there's a lot of value in kind of a single review and bringing everyone in all at once or adding them ad hoc. There's also a lot of value in having individual stages. But if you're looking for an option to kind of speed up by slowing down, you can build out these stages as a multi-stage review. You can automate when it moves on to the next stage, and you can make it really, really simple to kind of pass the proofs that you're creating, the review files, on to all of the reviewers in the way that most makes sense for you. I hope this has been super helpful. I think for me, kind of the big takeaways that I would have is that multi-stage reviews can help you automate the routing process. They can limit the chances that reviewers get distracted on things that they are not really supposed to be weighing in on. And ultimately, through doing just those two things, you're going to speed up your review and approval process with your stakeholders. So again, as you have questions, if you think about this and have some additional questions, reach out to me, reach out to the RoboHead support team. We'd be happy to walk you through this. And we hope you'll join us for day 2 of Converge. We're starting tomorrow afternoon. Thanks a lot and have a great day.